with the freight and strategic funds that I spoke about. It's all kind of bundled together in the negotiations for the House Bill 2017 to create the list that you have in front of you. And I did the best I could to kind of break those out so you could see the various components of that when the list comes together, but the funding is very much kind of integrated between those. The importance of this list from a delivery standpoint, us internally, it's a critical step for us to know what these projects are so we can get resourcing strategies. Our staffing requests that we will have in front of the legislature in the 18 session is going to be key on the exact projects where they are and justifying the amount of positions and other resources we need to deliver the projects. We're assuming, just a little background on delivery, we're assuming that 70% of the design work in our STIP will be done through an outsourcing model. So we have fluctuated from as low as 30% to as high as 70% during the peak of the bridge program and the OTIA 3 program. Currently, before 2017, House Bill 2017, we're about 50% of our work is designed. So this will push us again to that upper limit of, I think, what's prudent from an outsourcing standpoint to that 70% outsourcing. So there's a lot of work we're doing already behind the scenes to streamline our procurement processes and work with ACC and other partners to ensure that we have the resources both on the ODOT side as well as the consultant side to deliver these projects. But these particular projects, when they're scheduled, the nature of the projects, where they are, that level of detail is kind of the next piece that we need to integrate into our delivery strategies to ensure that we meet the intent of delivering these projects. So with that, I'll take questions. Again, I'm not asking for approval.
Well, this is a daunting list of projects for you to deliver. I'm sure you're going to be sleeping as little as Travis over the next couple of years. And as we're ramping up to do 70% of this work by outsourcing, I'm assuming, and tell me if I'm wrong about that, that part of what we're going to come back to the legislature to ask for in February is the resources to be able to oversee those outsourcing work.
Right.
So we don't end up just having to trust entirely.
Yes, that's correct. There's project management responsibilities, QA, QC responsibilities we have to ensure the projects are built in a proper manner. We need the resources to be able to do that, as well as there's owner responsibilities that we have in making decisions that you really can't outsource on decisions on any project. So all of us have had contractors in our house maybe doing work, and you've got to make a decision as owner, do you want this color or that color of things, or do you want to approach it this way and the cost, so forth. So there's that owner responsibility that I think is key, that we can't outsource that we've got to have a role there, as well as just ensuring back to legislators and you and others that we've got quality projects out there.
So real quick, you talked about putting this back out to the ACTs. My assumption, I hope, is that that's a confirmation of what you've already heard in building this list.
Typically, in our kind of the fix-it side of our list, it's an informational to ACTs. We don't ask the ACTs to approve that, but we share that with them in an informational standpoint. Also looking for opportunities to leverage different projects that we may have on the enhanced side or the fix-it side. So this won't be an approval to ACTs. It'll be an informational item for them. But also just to give we'll be looking for feedback when we do that of, oh, we may have missed something, of, hey, that bridge is right in the middle of another issue. It's best to delay that one or accelerate that one. Those type of things that we'll try to kind of flesh out as we share and communicate with the list. But the actual approval of the list for the Fix-It program is with the commission.
Okay, and the other question that I had is, it seems like there's a lot of improvements to rest areas, and that's a great thing. We've needed that for years and years, but that also, again, I haven't done this for a while, seems unusual. Is that because we focused on that intentionally this time around?
Certainly the legislature did. It was a priority for them. As we look at, transportation professionals, we look at our system, we see bridges failing, pavements failing, rest areas failing, and we try to prioritize and having, various parts of our system failing. And yes, we've underinvested in rest areas just as we have in pavements and bridges and other aspects. Probably because we are focused on the transportation infrastructure and the importance of carrying freight, we've probably skewed more on the side of bridges and pavements than we have on rest areas. And the legislature has a policy decision here that they want to invest more in rest areas than what we may have traditionally invested in rest areas. The other, you remind me of just your comment you made on your on the last agenda item. This list also, while the bill won't be effective until October, if there isn't anything, if things come up or change between now and October, there isn't anything in here we couldn't, undo.
Yeah, this one I'm not
with
quite
your-
as
with
worried
your-
about since
yeah.
it's 2018, but
Yeah, yeah,
yes,
yeah.
thank you.
So benefit cost on 15 million and over, is that something that is factored in on these as well?
I know the answer to that. Help me.
Is that,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but there
Okay.
are, yes. So it's.
I learn new things every time I read the bill.
Yeah, so it is
So
focused
I'm-
on capacity, but there is a nuance that we discovered in when we were dealing with this that we're gonna have to, as we develop the, you get my steps wrong, the 21, 24 step. There are gonna be some triggers of some of even our fix-it projects that will have a lane or something added to them that could trigger that congestion thing,
Okay.
even though that's not the intent of the project, but that we build our bridges or we build our fix-it projects with an eye towards life of 100 years, that we might be adding some kind of capacity, while that's not the intent of it, that if it is over $15 million, that we'd have to go back and do an analysis of.
Okay,
So that's a process that we're very much aware of and watching, and we'll be certainly implementing in the 21, 24 STIP process.
great. And I am happy to see that we are using our partners to the greatest extent that possible. This is a lot of work for us to stand up and get right. So I encourage that outreach with AGC and ACEC and all the folks that can help us understand where the barriers are to implement. Are we thinking on any of these to do CMGC or any design build or any other opportunities and ways in which we might be able to streamline and get thinking creatively about how we actually execute on this level of project?
Madam Chair, we are. We're
Okay,
looking at those type of things. The opportunities, though, are probably going to be pretty limited in this list, in that these are pretty simple paving,
Not much,
bridge,
yeah.
culverts that don't lend themselves to the attributes you see of alternative contracting. Certainly, as we get into Rose Quarter, that'll be a completely different
Absolutely.
scenario, and if we do come up with a funding source for 205, those are probably more primary targets for those type of alternative contracting. But there will be potentially some in here, some bridge projects that would lend themselves to a design build and some innovation in how they approach it.
Well, I guess I would just, very supportive of whatever it will take for us to be able to execute both on budget and on time.
Yep.
So, good opportunities. All right, so the request is for this to go out for public comment and review.
Madam Chair, I so move.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much.
I'll see you next month.
Yes. Get some rest. All right, next we're a little ahead of schedule. Are we too ahead of schedule for the team? Looking at Ken there. How about we take a 5-minute, we go ahead and switch out some nameplates, and then we'll have a discussion with NEACT. All right, well, I did ask them to turn the heat up in case anybody's having a little chill, just a smidge. And Mr. Sipp, I'm not sure, am I turning it over to you? I'd like to first just start by saying we're thrilled to be here, and really beautiful country, so it's nice to get out and about, and so thank you for hosting us. I've met a few of you, gosh, a month ago, maybe 2, it seems like 8 years, but I'll turn it over to you, and please walk us around the room, and we're looking for a kind of a not so formal, we want to hear how things are going, so feel free to, you know, give us both the, we don't want to just hear that everything is roses, we want to hear if there are challenges as well, so that's an open door. So please, I'll turn it over to you.
Great. Chair Bainey, members of the commission. Before us is the Northeast Area Commission on Transportation, and we're excited to be here today, but definitely to have you up here in Wallowa County, and always welcome you to Region 5. That's fantastic, and looking forward to a very healthy, robust conversation today amongst this group, and I'm sure they have a lot that they do want to share with you with that. So I do want to maybe start and recognize the chair of our NEACT, which is Commissioner Steve McClure, and then maybe just go around and everybody can acknowledge and recognize themselves if we go around would probably be best. And then get in, I know there's 3 questions that was posed, and then we kind of want to leave it to open. And then an action item is to approval for our charter and commission, our active charter and work plan. So, okay? Okay.
Okay, I will start. Chair Bainey, members of the commission, we want to welcome you to Eastern Oregon. We think it's a great place to live. Every time I take my wife to Seattle or Portland, she swears she'll never go again. And LeGrand is just where she likes it, okay? Nothing to keep her in LeGrand like the traffic problems that you deal with on the other side of the state. So we do appreciate what you're dealing with. You know, in LeGrand, we say we have a rush 5 minutes in the morning and a rush 5 minutes in the afternoon. So that's what we have to deal with. So we're not going to be demanding a lot of additional roads or anything else. But, you know, there's a lot of good things came out of this bill, in my opinion, okay? I like the fact that we went to various forms of revenue besides the gas tax for everything. I think that was very important, and I think it's going to serve us well over time. You take transit, now that we have a funding source for transit, we know what it is. Transit can become dependable. You know, transit has always been one of these projects out here that goes like this, depending on the funding cycle. And with the funding that we're seeing that's probably going to come from this, it will give us the consistency that we need. I've been the board chair of Community Connections, which runs the transit in Wallowa County, Union County, and Baker County. So we run 3 counties, and it's a big area. And we've been doing it for a number of years, and we're excited to see that consistency given to those programs. I think the thing that I would caution you about is counties, okay? Everybody's expectations are counties are rich now. And we lost SRS, okay? And we were asked by Cliff Bentz to send him an endorsement, okay? And he got 10 of them, and 1 came from Union County. After the winter we went through and losing SRS, we were on the road to bankruptcy. I mean, it was a time. Now, I look at this funding that you're giving us that's going to come. This year we're getting $235 plus a $58,000 from the small county allotment. We used to get, the last payment that we got from SRS was $580,000. And then it went back to the old 25% formula. It was $58,000. We lost $500,000. So you even see in this next year with what you're putting in here, we're still going to be behind the 8 ball. Now, if you take it over the long term of the funding cycle, we will come out better at the end, but it's going to be a long, slow climb for us. And of course, the expectation in my community is going to be, hey, the state raised all this money, how come you haven't fixed all the roads? You know, and if you have time, when you go back through Elgin, before you get to Elgin, when you come off of Cricket Flat, there's a road called Good Road, if you got time, drive down it, okay? It is the absolute best explanation of the problems that we deal with, okay? It's supposed to be paved, and it's you know, we actually met with the property owners out there, and we explained to them we didn't have the money. You know what they told us? Go out and get more money. I mean, so they endorsed what we did. And we actually did a resolution for Cliff. He came and asked us to do it. So we absolutely have buy-in in this thing. I think it's important for the cities. It's important for all of us. I am excited to see the oversight and the involvement of the legislature in this. Timelines, you know, and I think going forward that if you can maintain that relationship with the legislature, it's going to serve you well. The challenge, of course, is you can't let it become political. It has to be a true, honest oversight role so that you don't wind up dicing up the money politically to whoever has the most power. I mean, that's, to me, is the key to the thing. You know, I mean, we understand the politics and the way the bill was passed, and that's fine with us. You know, our legislator voted no, so we're in this pot, which is 0, and the other legislator voted yes, so we understand how it works. But again, we are excited, and from my perspective, we are. I guess I'm a little bit disappointed in Connect Oregon, having to wait 4 years. That is probably one of the most difficult things for us. Those projects were the kind of thing that we could stick in the crack where we needed it. You know, I know Baker did on their airport. We're doing it on our airport. It helped on the railroads, the small railroads, and so on and so forth. But hey, you know, we understand, and we will deal with that. As far as our role, in my opinion, I look for it to continue. We've given you a work plan here, and if this is not the work plan you want us to do, you need to tell us if your expectations are different than what we've submitted to you here today. And in my opinion, NEAC has been extremely successful. We don't fight. We have sat down and worked things out. We worked with SEAC, so you know we're all a Region 5, and we've always had a good relationship with ODOT. You know, I remember when Matt came to me and wanted me to do the act, I told him, Matt, I don't need one. We don't have any problems with ODOT. He says, Steve, you got to do it for me. So I did it for him. But, and so that's where we're at. And again, I think this is really a game changer, the way this legislation came out. And I really have to, you know, give credit to the people that put it together. It's, you know, people say a lot didn't happen in this session, but this was the, as far as I'm concerned, is a gem that came out of this session. And I think the legislature needs to be proud of it, and you guys are going to have a lot of work, you know. I mean, they have clearly given you some tasks that you're going to have to move on. You're going to have to move quickly and efficiently to meet those timelines, and I have all the confidence in the world that you will. So with that, I'll turn it over to Michelle, and
we're done. No, I'm just kidding.
Really, I thought we were just saying, welcome, thank you for coming to our neck of the woods. My name is Michelle Owen, and I'm the Director of Public Works for the City of Baker City, and we are glad you're here.
Good morning. Some of you recognize me. Hello, Madam Chairman, members of the board, Matt. We're all very happy that you're here, and I'm very pleased to have the opportunity to speak with you throughout this this whole weekend, week, basically. One thing that I do want to get across very clearly right now is Mr. Garrett and his staff, as far as the road officials are concerned, are doing a wonderful job. They do a magnificent job. In Eastern Oregon, we have an extremely good working relationship with Region 5, with Craig and his folks. I just can't say enough good about them. And I know there's been some bad press this last year or two. Bad press is just exactly that. It's people that don't understand. I was very pleased to see that the commission came out and supported ODOT, Matt, and all those folks, because I think that it's very important. So I'll go ahead and turn this on, and maybe have the opportunity to talk a little later on. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair Bainey and members of the commission. It is great to see you in I guess we can say far eastern Oregon. I'll welcome you from Umatilla County, which we're just the neighbors here to the west. But we're excited about the transportation package, what it means to our county. We really got some great benefits out of, or upcoming benefits out of it. And we're real happy. We did have a last minute resolution that was given to me just before I left home and headed over here from but it's concerning the interchange at I-84 and 209, which would be I-84 and 395 interchange, city of Pendleton. That seemed to be something that was on the radar for that area. They felt like it had gotten left out, and they wanted a strong consideration for that. Umatilla County Board of Commissioners yesterday in our board meeting passed a resolution that that would be a high priority that we're supporting. So with that, again, thank you very much for being here. Enjoy the clear weather. When you head home, I hope you don't have traffic all headed to view that clear sky on Monday. So
We used your fine airport, so we shortened our trip, so.
was that boutique?
Yes, we did, yeah. It was seamless. It was great.
Great, and I hope the flight was very good.
Yes, yes,
Good.
yep.
All right.
In-flight service was amazing. I mean, we had it all. Yep, it was great. Yep.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that. So with that, I'll turn it over to Commissioner Doherty. Of course, I'm Larry Givens, which I failed to say, Commissioner from Umatilla County.
I'm Jim Doherty, co-chair, vice chair, if you will. I rotated in. I became a commissioner about 6 months ago, and rotated in as the vice chair because I'm taking over for Judge Tallman, who had 15 years experience. So this is quite a learning experience for me, but it's really been wonderful. You guys are faced with a tough challenge, I see, because you look at transportation, and that means for a lot of people to get from here to Salem and never take the cruise control off and get there as quickly as possible. I'm not sure that there wasn't a lot of value humanistically when you had to wander through every main street between here and there. So you gotta appreciate that value as well. And I think the same challenges we have in Morrow County is we see out here in Area 5 more and more the people are gravitating to the enterprise zone areas and to the interstate and to the railways, and these wonderful communities that are tucked back in the hills that were all natural resource based are really struggling to hang on. So you see areas, that are just, and Morrow County and the Port of Morrow is a wonderful example. We've got 7,000 jobs there, but we import 75% of our labor, and the people are starting to move there. But our county seat, Heppner, was it peaked in 1960, and the 2 or 3 towns around it are the same way. So we've got to hold them whole, and I really see the potential in doing that with some transit dollars. Who wouldn't want to live at the foot of the Blues and be able to come down and, the third highest paid wage in the state. There's some wonderful jobs, and you can get on that transit and you can, be on your smartphone and do those kinds of things. And so I think it's a wonderful opportunity. And with that many folks in a closed campus, I can envision, the old and the new. You drop people off at one central location, they get on automated vehicles, they move about the campus. There's the old and the new, but we've got to understand that. And in these communities, the bike and the ped stuff is huge, because we need that sense of community as well, on the home front to hold these whole. So I think there's some wonderful opportunities with the funds that are coming our way, and so I think there's the dichotomy of moving the freight and moving the folks, and also trying to hold people whole. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. I think it's also, so for the transit conversation, I'm not sure if everyone is in the room, but Mr. Gard is here, and we are going to be needing to hear from you how we roll out this opportunity. We need to make sure that whatever it is that we develop doesn't have unintended consequences, and the state looks different, and it should, and we want to celebrate that uniqueness. So that's an open invitation to, if you have ideas, and when we send out that we need input, that means you. So just thank you for raising that. In 6 months, we should get a photo of him now. And then, I've been 11 years, yes. So anyway, welcome.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, my name is Byron Smith. I'm the city manager for the city of Hermiston, and so grateful for this new additional funding that's coming along that will help us as a growing city address a lot of our needs. And just to let the commission know, our council's seriously considering additional local funding to match that so that we can really address the needs and not just kind of take the skim off the top. So appreciate the investment that the state is making. Also appreciate some of the past projects that we've worked on. ODOT did a great job overlaying 395 through the city of Hermiston. Did that under a special schedule that really minimize interruption for our businesses, and it turned out to be a great project. We have 2 ongoing projects that we're working on with a trail project as well as a couple of signals, and so they've been really great to work with us and find ways to get solutions to issues. So thank you very much. Glad you're here on this side of the state, and appreciate the opportunity to talk with you.
I'm Ken Patterson, the area manager for Eastern Oregon with ODOT. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read a statement from George Murdoch, a Umatilla County resident that Commissioner Givens shared with me, and then I'll offer my seat up to Commissioner Susan Roberts so that she can have a seat here at the table. This is a statement in regards to the 209 interchange, and what Mr. Murdoch has wrote is last week he'd had an opportunity to meet with 4 officials from the City of Pendleton, including the mayor, the city manager, as well as the local representative from ODOT and Kathleen Cathy from Senator Ron Wyden's office. The purpose of the meeting was to discuss the 209 interchange, which is considered to be one of the major transportation problems in Eastern Oregon. Unfortunately, the transportation package passed by the legislature did not include consideration for this interchange. By some counts, the 209 interchange is the busiest in Pendleton. As the intersection of US 395 and Interstate 84, it is heavily utilized. Added to these 2 major highways are a number of other local streets that pour into the Southgate Road at or near this intersection. It is important to note that in the event of the Cascadia subduction, US 395 is only one of 2 north-south routes likely not to be impacted by the event. Certainly, it should have been considered for funding as part of the transportation package, a document which did provide for several major projects, including work to help with this interchange serving the depot project. While this matter primarily involves the City of Pendleton and the Oregon Department of Transportation, it is also a vital link serving a number of local county roads. With that in mind, I'd like to propose a resolution to the effect that we consider the 209 interchange to be the highest priority in Umatilla County with respect to state and federal highways, including bridges and interchanges. And I believe this resolution kind of corresponds with that from Umatilla County. Okay. Okay. With that, I'll give my seat up to Commissioner Roberts.
Will we have a copy?
Yeah, actually.
And that's wet ink, you're gonna need to give him.
Madam Chair, I didn't have time to get copies made before I headed over here, so
Might be a couple. Okay. All right.
thank you.
Staff. Okay.
You're gonna leave?
I'm Aaron Palmquist. I'm the city manager of Oregon in Morrow County, and a member of the NEAC. And I want to say thank you to the commissioners and Madam Chair. It's always good to a previous boss. So you are looking better and doing better. And I still watch Central Oregon, where I have my heart, and I still have some kids and hopefully grandkids soon. So. I do want to say, and I appreciate what Tom and Commissioner McClure said, about working with ODOT. It has been in 25 plus years in city county management and interaction with ODOT on the west side, and then central, and now over on the east side. It has been great, even though Craig and Ken have they know how to take punches and keep smiling, and they look, and we get to a resolution. And I'm not just saying that because you guys are here and Matt, that you're here. It has been a joy everywhere I've been. It's not always been pleasant. Some of them are obstacles, but they look how to get to yes, and that is very, very great. I also sat on, in Morrill County, I'm the chair of a, we call it the Loop. It is the special transportation program for the state in Morrill County. So I'm the committee chair for that, and we're doing things which is serving people with disabilities, seniors, and other. But it's open for the whole county, and we revived that about 2 years ago. It's been very effective, and now we're looking in the region doing the, I think they call it the SHED program, exploring how we can do mass transit and how we can improve. So I'd love to be part of that because we're exploring how we can best serve not only certain populations, but the whole population and make it tighter across our whole region. So it's very, very effective. So I appreciate that. I also want to say that hopefully not stepping on some people's toes like Umatilla County, but I feel like a kid in a candy store thanks to the Honorable Representative Greg Smith in this package. After my city gave me directions, said write a letter to various legislators, including the House, Speaker of the House, Tina Kotek, and where we stood at it as a city and some other things. So we support it and still do the project. And part of what we're doing as a city, and if anyone wants to learn how to do it, we've enacted user fees because as a small city, you don't get a whole lot of resources. We're going to see some benefit for that. That is very good, but we've been saving. I'm one of those 20, 30-year out planners looking how we can improve our city streets and bike and ped areas. But in this last legislation, the candy store is I have a $3 million coming my way to do transportation-related stuff. And I've already been in contact with the region, with Ken, and we're looking at that, our engineers putting together. So it's going to be great. So when you come through, the first thing that the council has, because we've had a downtown plan, there'll be sidewalk on the south side of 730. So it's going to look different, and we're going to do some roads that they're not going to be, we don't have one, Steve, that's called a good road. We don't have any good roads, period. They're all tore up, so it'll be good. The thing that I would ask for all of my peers here is, and Commission, that the legislation did really, really well on this process. It was hard and a tough nut, but I think that the state needs to do another step for other infrastructure, and that's our water and sewer projects that we have across all of our communities. It is broken. We're hurting. So this is a step, and hopefully our legislators and maybe even other agencies can learn what ODOT and the OTC have done to learn from that how we can get to help our communities, because that's probably the other two legs that are hurting our communities. And so I'm going to try to take some energy and say, how do we fix that? Because to make our communities healthy and vibrant and whole for the next 30 plus years, we've got to do something different than what we've ever done. Because riding the same horse, it's dead. It's time to dismount. And I like what Tom and, is it COVA? Whatever the organization with the counties that you guys did to come up with a new funding plan. The Oasis. Was a good thing, good model. And Tom, from our region with some other individuals and counties led that. That was very successful. And I think